Greetings, friends, and welcome to Captain Samuel's Senseless Sagas. Today we're taking a look at Redbeard by white American author Michael Resnick. Now, I'd never heard of Michael Resnick before, but apparently he won 5 Hugo Awards for short stories, and he actually wrote a lot of stories set in Africa based on African cultures. According to Wikipedia, he wrote over 200 erotic novels under a pseudonym, Giggity, and unfortunately he passed away in 2020. Now, Redbeard the book is post-apocalyptic science fiction set in the northeastern United States. In fact, the author mentions some real-world towns, and one of them is actually a town where I ride my bicycle during the summer to buy some fresh-baked raisin oatmeal cookies. Now, fortunately, in my world, this town is a nice place devoid of radioactive horrors, but it is kind of touristy. Anyways, Redbeard is set 1,000 years after a nuclear war which has decimated the world. We all know the deal with that. The descendants of those who had fallout shelters now live above ground and are called Normans or Normals. The descendants of those who survived in other underground areas, such as caves or subways, are mutants, and the mutants have magic-like abilities like teleportation or X-ray vision. The leader of the mutants is Gareth Cole, who looks like a normal but is actually a super mutant. He has unlimited powers, but his best ability is being able to summon nearly invincible monsters any place, any time. Redbeard lives with the mutants. He has pale white skin and bright red hair. He's born among the mutants, but he's normal. He doesn't have any mutant power, and he hates living with the mutants. He also hates the normals. In fact, Redbeard hates everything and everyone. He is the most barbarously evil character I have ever read about. Redbeard is a rapist, murdering, arrogant, self-centered, ignorant, stupid, lying thief of a scumbag. He makes Conan the Barbarian look like some kind of a church boy who's taken a bunch of sensitivity trainings. Redbeard is that bad. He's an awful, awful guy. So he hates Gareth Cole, the leader of the mutants, just for the fact that Gareth Cole is more powerful than he is. And this is despite the fact that Gareth Cole saved Redbeard's life when he was young. So the big mystery is, why does Gareth Cole, this omnipotent super mutant, keep around Redbeard, who causes all this trouble and is trying to kill Gareth Cole? Why does Gareth Cole put up with this guy and keep him alive? That is the big mystery of the book. So early on in the story, Redbeard is captured by the normals without being an arrogant dumbass, and then he becomes the pawn of both the ruling barons of the normals and of Gareth Cole. And he escapes with a noblewoman, and they have some misadventures together. The bulk of the book is Redbeard and the noblewoman aimlessly wandering from town to town, doing heinous acts, or normal council meetings talking about why Gareth Cole wants Redbeard alive. Council meetings about why Gareth Cole, what will he do next? Council meetings about what is Gareth Cole's weakness. Council meetings about planning attacks. Council meetings about this. Council meetings about that. For a book with this as the cover, the shirtless dude with a bloody sword and a decapitated head in his arm and an army of mutant freaks behind him, you'd think you'd have a bit more of a riotous time, but the bulk of this book is really just people pontificating about political situations. Then you get through all that, and then finally at the end, the big mystery about why Gareth Cole kept Redbeard alive and what he needs him for is revealed. And then Redbeard does something unbelievably effed up, and when the story ends, there was no progress at all. The world is right back to square one where it was at the beginning of the book. The book was basically just a bunch of bloody crimes and council meetings, and at the end, there's no development for any of the characters or the world. There's nothing to show for reading this book. So in terms of what I liked and didn't like about this book, at first I was fascinated about why omnipotent super mutant Gareth Cole was keeping this useless scumbag Redbeard around, and so the book was a page-turner to me. I wanted to find out what's happening. I was blazing through it. The book started off as 5 stars. Then I realized the book was mostly council meetings, and it dropped to 4 stars. Then I realized, wow, this book is really mostly council meetings, and it dropped down to 3 stars. Then when the big reveal about why Gareth Cole needed Redbeard alive was a huge letdown, and it was packaged with Redbeard doing something that really crossed the line for evil behavior in your typical villain or anti-hero, I thought it was just a really distasteful event to put in a book. The book dropped down to 2 stars for me. And what was especially annoying is the book felt like it was headed for a redemption arc. Redbeard was starting to get on track. He was starting to be a little more respectful toward the noblewoman. It felt like the author easily could have wrapped this book up with some kind of a positive ending. But the author was like, nope, Redbeard is still an awful, awful human being, and there is no positive resolution to this book. Now, keep in mind, I can deal with lack of a happy ending. Like, that's totally fine. Not every book has to have a happy ending. I can even deal with a bad ending. You know, sometimes tragic things happen in life. But a pointless ending, where all the characters in the world are pretty much right where they were when the book started, oh, that's going too far for me. 192 pages later, the world was just left unchanged and unaffected by all the events I just read, and it made the reading experience feel inconsequential and pointless. And even a bad book doesn't leave me feeling that way. It just kind of feels like this book, wastes the reader's time. Like, well, what's the point of reading all this if nothing really changed at the end? So, as a result, 2 stars. I don't recommend it, and I think you can pass on this one. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Have a great day.